investigative journalist Kimberly Dvorak. And Kimberly, we have a lot of things going on right now. First of all, the president said on Thursday that we have contained ISIS. Then Friday, we had the attacks. Today, he talks about bringing in people who may, in fact, do harm to the United States. Now, what's your take on that? And especially with respect to the intelligence situation, because it seems to defy common sense that they can actually do background checks on these people who are people with no name, no country, because not all of them are Syrian, and not all of them have legit passports, do they?
Yeah, no. I think the best way to set the table here for this discussion is that the President of the United States has consistently missed about 50% of his intelligence briefings. And those that he's taken, a lot of them he's taken on an iPad. He hasn't had his intelligence advisors in the room with him explaining what is really going on and what we need to be focused on for the coming days and weeks and months. And I can confirm this because I spoke with General Flynn, who was the general and the director for the Defense Intelligence Agency, who resigned earlier last year because the president was not listening to the intelligence that he was providing and going off on following different tangents that meant nothing. And generals at this point are ready to start resigning, as they should, because they are advising the commander-in-chief of what is really out there. And in response, they're getting nothing. And we see what's happening. Today at the G20 summit, for example, the president listed a few of the terrorist attacks, including the Lebanon twin bombs and what happened in Paris, of course. He neglected to actually say that the Russian plane that went down. So, I mean, is that kind of a tit for tat with Putin? And I really don't think the terrorists are looking at the tit for tat between the president here. And I just think that he's failing on all levels here, and it's time for him to take stock and say, really, Mr. President, all lives matter, even if they're not U.S. citizens, and we have intelligence saying that something is going to happen.
The president said today, as he was in Turkey at the G20 summit, that putting boots on the ground, putting American soldiers on the ground in Syria and other places would be a mistake. That's a quote. It would be a mistake. Now, the thing is that we learned after 9/11 was the fact that we didn't have human intelligence. We didn't have people on the ground. So we have forsaken now all of the gains we've made after putting all of these people on the ground. And now when it counts the most, in this next wave of attacks, in all likelihood by ISIS, he's decided that, you know what, we really don't need people on the ground. Sure, 50 spec ops guys, that's going to get it done? I don't think so.
No, and you're right, and that has been the one thing, and that's been consistent over the past 7 years that I've heard from the Pentagon and from sources in the intelligence community saying the one thing that we do not have is we do not have that human intelligence, and that's boots on the ground, trying to figure out who the bad guys are, what they're planning, and we have completely pulled back on that, thinking that we can fight a war with drones, and it's clearly not working, and we're seeing an uptick in the violence. We're seeing more and more terrorist attacks, and every time we put ISIS down as though they're just the JV or they're just a ragtag group of terrorists, you know what, for a ragtag group of terrorists, they're doing a pretty good job right now.
They're killing a lot of people, and of course that's what they want to do. Tell us what you know so far about some of these people who did these attacks on Friday. We know at least one of one family responsible for 3 of these terrorists.
Yeah, and one of the mothers of the 3 boys said that, her son was stressed out and didn't want to kill anybody, yet he, exploded himself with a suicide vest. We're learning that at least one, most likely 3 of these terrorists had traveled from Syria to Paris area, and this is most likely how they got their date certain and the final plans as to what they were going to be doing. They got word, because they are a little skittish about, getting the information using cell phones and that, so they're currying actual people to let those know. And there was 3 cells here that were active in Paris. Okay, it's a go for this. So, we're learning that, in Germany over, last week, that they had apprehended another possible terrorist who his car was filled with automatic weapons and grenades and explosives, and they just happened to check his GPS, and it was, Paris, France. So we're learning that, the Germans picked up somebody who is most likely going to be a part of this attack as well. And I think it just goes to show most people that, the vetting of these refugees, while 90% of them most likely are just trying to flee the war zone like anyone would, but those remaining 10% are coming across using this as an example because nobody can prove who they are. A lot of the people in Syria, if they live out in the Badlands, so to speak, they don't have passports. They don't have driver's license. How do we know who they are? And you talk to people here in the U.S. Customs and Immigration Services, and they're saying we have no idea how to background check these guys. So it's a complete and total falsehood that the president could say, look, we're going to vet these guys really good. Are we vetting them really good like we did the U.S. trained rebels who went into Syria and then gave all the weapons to Al Qaeda?
Right.
I mean, this is what we've got to deal with here. If we can't vet them, how are we going to vet tens of thousands of people, whether they go to Europe or come here?
Well, that's a great point, and I have heard many people say that they are vetting these guys as best they can, and I'm not sure best they can is going to cut it in terms of our safety. And the other thing is that, Kimberly, I want to bring up before we have to go, because we have to skedaddle here, Edward Snowden released 1.7 million documents, some of which are now in the hands of Al Qaeda as well as ISIS, that have taught them spycraft, how we go about following them, the electronic encryption that we use, and they've all done things to avoid this stuff. That is one of the reasons why French authorities were not up to speed, notwithstanding the fact that ISIS told them on social media Paris might be a target, but they were not quite up to speed on some of the plans of ISIS in Paris. And it's because Edward Snowden gave it away.
Well, I don't know too much about that, but I will tell you that they're using a little more human intelligence, as is the United States. Everybody's kind of backing away from the encryption, and in this country we do have laws and there are privacy issues, and it seems to me that there are an awful lot of dossiers being created inside this country using that same information. Now, we're going to have to, do a lot more research. We're at the very beginning stages as to learning how this attack was actually put together. It was extensive. It was professional. Everybody, agrees that this was definitely, an ISIS attack. But what I can say is that Americans on a daily basis, if they don't think that it can happen in this country, I'm here to let you know that it can happen in this country. And the best thing that they can do is if you see something, say something. And if you see or feel something that doesn't feel right, just get away from the situation, because the people I've talked to inside law enforcement inside this country said be prepared because something is going to happen. We don't have a date certain and we don't know exactly, but I think the Paris attacks, them going after soft targets like a nightclub and restaurants,
right.
They saw the fear that it encapsulated, and we're going to see that here because they're already here.
Right. Thanks a lot, Kimberly. Yeah, 50 cases going on in all 50 states, 900 terrorists. Yeah. It's happening here. Okay, thanks a lot, Kimmy Dvorak. Coming up next.